Horse like Solo Traveller, what would you make of him? He got beaten by a whole lot of them on Saturday.
Well, yeah, he's been unfortunate that he hasn't sort of done well enough. Whether he'll stay there is up to them. Pulsara hasn't sort of shaped lately either.
Silver Flyer didn't run very well in his comeback.
Silver Flyer also didn't. Polar Bound, they got horses like, he's Thunder Dance, Top Seller. They need to show some form, some of these horses.
It's going to be.
It's always contentious. It's very. I wouldn't like the job.
As your horses are concerned, you've got a couple of horses in there. Who would be your best at this stage? Who would you think is your best? And don't worry about aggravating Bloomberg. He's not going to leave you. You're the only person who'll talk to him. Okay, so and Carol's so you can have a go.
I think we rate English Garden as our best shot. If you look at the handicapping system, if all being well with him, he took his race very well. He ran this weekend as well, and he did well. Picking one's always hard, but I would say that he's probably our best shot.
Will Bernard ride him?
Bernard wants to ride him, yeah. He wants to ride him very much. He can make the weight. Then there's Cheselon. He's been doing well. He showed a lot of form, and he's sort of cemented his position on the log.
Is he good enough to win in July?
Well, if you look at that field, you'd say to yourself, well, who is good enough to win this July? That's what a lot of people are asking themselves. And you keep going back to Jackson, who's a 3-year-old and who's going to have 57. So, Jackson is good, and over that trip he is good. But to pick some of the others, there's a lot of them that can't win in July, that I can assure you. Perhaps Cheselon might be one that possibly can. English Garden certainly is one that could. But there are others. Pierre Jourdan can win in July, and so Tales of Bravery. I would have thought that the mile would have been a better trip for him, but he does get the trip. But he's in the shop. But it's not too many you can go through after that.
What about Beach Beauty, Mike? What do you make of her? She won pretty easily the other day.
Yeah. She too. She's in there with a shot, and she's got the form. She's cemented her position as well. I would think she's fixed her spot there. But there's probably half the field that can win and the other half can't. So I think there is place. So that's why I say a horse like Castlethorpe, he should be on the log now on his performance on Saturday. They can't not put him in.
What a winter!
As for Gold Onyx,
he get in as well.
He certainly has to get in now too. They left him out last year, and look, whether rightly or wrongly, who knows? He hasn't had a great year, but he's come to form again now, and at the right time he showed form, and that's how you get onto the log.
Okay, let's chat about a few of the horses, and What a Winter's one of the horses that I'd really like to chat to you about, because he's really much better than he's showing at the moment.
Oh, very much so, James. He's a top horse. He and Castlethorpe, he's so much better. Look, they've grown up together, and he's been so much better than him in their work at home, although they race separately at times. It's always been better than Castlethorpe, and Castlethorpe in his own right is a very good horse. So, What a Winter this season. I'm back to the drawing board at the moment, because his last couple of runs up here have been a disaster for me and for the whole team, and nowhere near his form. First of all, the Scottsville Sprint, and then didn't work out for us, and I have no excuse. It was something amiss with the horse, nothing wrong. I'm not complaining about anything else, about the doors and things. He had every chance. He was perfectly ridden. He had every chance, but he just didn't do it. He just didn't do it. And then I went a mile with him, because I wouldn't normally have done it, but because those are the only 2 races that he's basically eligible for that I can run in.
Mercury's got to
put him over a mile. Well, that's that's his best race for this season, where it's much like one of the Cape Town 1200-meter sprints, and that's where hopefully I can get him back to his best. But I think it's up to me. It's no fault of his or of his. I'll have to get him back to his best, because somewhere along the line we're missing something, and he's just not running to his best in his last 2 starts, and we're back to the drawing board, and I reckon I'll get him back to his best by then.
For the Mercury, that would probably be the next one.
And that's all there is for him, you know what I mean? That's the end of his season. And there's not, you know, in Cape Town there wasn't much for him, and then that's why I sort of got to try and pick up an extra race in Joburg, because there are so few weight for age or decent sprints for him. There's no 1400. There was, you know, there was a ideal race for him, which I thought would be the Drill Hall. But, you know, he drew like right on the outside at Greyville and over 14. And it wouldn't have been easy to set. It would have been an impossible task, so I would have been banging my head, so I left that one out of it. But there's nothing much else for him, so that's the problem.
2-year-olds, you've got very nice 2-year-olds. You've got Hammy's Hooker, beautifully named.
Yeah, well, look, they're named after Hammy's teams. Bryn and Marshall are sponsors of the Hammy's Football Club, and they bring into it. And the colours of Bryn Wrestle, he's got the Hammy's colours too. So they've changed a few of the names to Hamilton's club. Yeah, Hammy's Hooker's a good filly. She's a very smart filly. She's won 5 in a row now, I think. Three of them features, or 2 or 3 of them features. Very smart filly. Some nice 2-year-olds. Abercrombie, another one.
Abercrombie
has been unlucky.
Wow. Does he not get the trip?
No, he gets the trip. Yeah, he got left at the start. Probably my fault again. He's hasn't been great in the pens, you know, and didn't come out at all this time. Messes around in there. He's a bit coltish. Plays around in the pens. Got himself left badly. And not that he doesn't want to go in. He goes in there, but he messes about, and you know, he's very cultish. He wants to bite the horse next door and does all sorts of things like that. So you know, he got left badly behind the field, and then you know, running on the new course of the short running, it's like getting left at Greyville over 14, and they're not going hard. The short running, you know, there's no time. So as a result, he tried to go wide and didn't work out, and he sort of ran 5th or something out of the money, which wasn't great. But you know, I don't know how good he is. I'm not getting carried away with him. You know, he's a good horse, but he is a good horse. How good is he? He'll have to show us still. He's a big rangy horse, and only running at 2 because the trippies seem to be quite early, and he's also quite precocious too. And he's showing it. He's probably just good enough to run. He's a big horse, and he'll get more ground later on too.
Well, that's interesting because both you and Mike de Kock believe that they're going to get a bit more ground. A lot of people thought that they'd only be sprinting horses in the early 2-year-olds because of his reputation from America. Yeah,
there is talk from America that we won't get them to race later on in the season, but I don't know. I look at some of mine and I reckon I'll get them to
get them to go.
I'll get them to train on. I think so. I really do. I mean, Abercrombie's a horse that, to me, he can't just be a 2-year-old. There's no way. I mean, he'll train because he wants further too. And I've got some staying horses there too. I've got about 5 or 6 trippies. 2 or 3 of them have come out and they've been fast. That filly is very good, and Abercrombie's pretty good. He shouldn't be sprinting. I mean, Bernard said to me, "You'll never win a sprint with him," but he did win a sprint. Sort of surprised us. It'll be, you know, his second race was a sprint again. And you know, I think the last race was 14 or 15, also a bit quick for him. And if he get left, he'll certainly get ground. And I've got some that are only going to race at 3 because they just sort of backward staying types. So I think he'll get all sorts of types, I think, in this country. And I have no doubt that they must go on.
You've got a couple of nice ones you left at home. You always leave something for the winter series there. And
all mine are left home, my 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
All at home. I've got some, it's hard, I don't like to say these sort of things, but I've got some cracking 2-year-olds there. I don't think Abercrombie's the best of them. Might not be. I mean, I think there are a couple that might be, might give him a go. Yeah, we've got some very, very exciting 2-year-olds. So we bought a lot that year. And they, at the moment, touch wood, they're doing very nicely. Jetmasters, Captain L's, and Trippies. So and Western Winters too. Well, I say that, it's probably one of each type of thing. But I mean, they are very nice, I think.
Pretty useful.
Mm.
Just going back in time a bit, Pocket Pie is now retired and apparently won a show jumping competition the other day.
Yeah, look, he's only got one hang up. Apparently, he's very good. Belinda always talking about him, and she brings some videos in of him jumping and things. He's been to shows, but the trouble is he only goes to the shows that are nearby, that are walking distance, because he hasn't been very good at getting in a chores float. You know, he gets into it and it starts rocking, and he says, "I'm out of here." And then once he decided that, he actually went. When he went there, he went in and he went there. But then he decided that after a while he's not going in one of those. So now they get stuck. So either they're going to get a big lorry for him, or they walk him to the shows. But if he makes up his mind, he's not going in that thing. He goes in. He'll walk in because he doesn't want to be that anti. But as soon as he gets in, he goes back out again. So
You can't get the chain on him quick
they
enough.
can't get the chain closed up.
And he's big and strong as well.
He gets the float going like this more and more. You know.
He's always been a bit sort of quirky, hasn't he?
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he's never been easy. Mentally, he's never been easy. But I mean, work-wise and that, he was easy to train. That sort of thing, as far as I'm concerned. But mentally, he hasn't been easy because he's otherwise bugger.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
but
remember.
brave. I mean, not nasty in the eye. Very brave horse, and a real champion. But he's quirky, quirky.
I remember after the races, he had this habit of doing this. He'd snatch a bit and snatch a bit.
That's
Didn't
the thing,
matter.
you know. The groom even, you know, he took his own groom's teeth out of him, you know, because he knocks his head about, and you know, he doesn't sort of stand still and relax and look like anybody else in the parade ring, in the winners' enclosure, which he doesn't go into. Standing outside the winners' enclosure, but then as soon as you take hold of him and trying to get the saddle and things off, he'll knock everybody, and you know, that's him.
But they love him.
Yeah, no. Oh, look, I love him. Yeah, look, he's much better now. He's let down. He doesn't get tuned up by the racing, you know. So he's let down now. No, she gets on very well with him. She's a brilliant rider, and she gets on very well with him.
And Bassie, your team at home, going well. You've got a decent bunch, and Milnerton. Okay, what's going to happen with Kate? What's going on there?
Well, we don't quite know what's happening, you know. Milnerton, we're still at the Milnerton Training Centre. I don't know if anything's come about changing that situation. I suppose Pumalelo will decide if we go there. I mean, we sort of seem to be in limbo at the moment, belonging to the one and being run by the other, so we don't quite know what's happening. Yeah, look, I've got a good team at home. Candice and Trevor. Trevor's been there forever. Yeah. He's probably the best stable man around, you know. He doesn't even go racing anymore. He just stays at home with the horses at home, and